fun, but also aggravating to make those helmets.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did a hell of a job, though.
Yeah.
It
was
did a good
so
job.
aggravating to make those helmets. But as I was saying, if you're making gifts, like, you really have to plan that out, because I go to school, I'm in high school, I'm a high school senior, and I have a lot of homework, like a lot. So, and not only that, but usually midterms are coming up. You really have to plan what you're doing, because not only are you making stuff, but you're handling study guides and all the other stuff that your teachers like to throw in last minute, because they were like, hey, it's the end of the quarter. We're just going to give you everything now. So you really have to plan what you're doing. I haven't exactly gotten to that point yet where I'm planning. Honestly, I'm stressing right now, but it's all worth it in the end when you see their faces and you know that they love their gift.
That's when I say, that's why I don't give my friends presents, because they can deal with it. You know? Just deal with it. I can give them air, oxygen.
I'm the greatest gift of life.
We got Mr. Scrooge over here.
He's definitely Dad Zan's son.
I give you air from my lungs.
I'm alive. That's gift enough for you.
Nice Dr. Reference.
So, yeah, that's what I would say to my friends if they ask me to make them a present. Obviously, sometimes it's joking, but...
Well, see, my friends don't ask me. Actually, for the most part, they're like, Selkie, don't make me anything. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it anyway, because I love you. And and even if they don't want it, I still give it to them anyway.
They can kiss the ground I'll walk on.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's hear from the other two a little
we
bit.
raise our children with high self-esteem. So
We sure about that?
Not so much.
Well, I would like to say that during the holidays, it gets a little more costly as a poly family, so just make sure you shop at some good places like Five Below, or Second and Charles is pretty good, but the prices really range, so you gotta be careful, because you can find something super cheap, or find something super expensive, or really just make sure you find a store that has a lot of the person's interests, so you don't get screwed.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Hi, Gil.
Hi,
Gil.
Okay.
Anything's off the top of your head that, before we start asking the outright questions, that you would like to say about being poly for the holidays?
It's the only burden that I ever feel in a poly family is having to explain others how the relationship between your parents work.
Oh, yeah.
That eternal struggle. So
yes.
Give them some advice. I'm sure they would like to hear it.
What do you do?
Well, personally, it really depends on the demographic that you're talking to. You know, if you're talking to, your best friend who would love you no matter what, I have a few really good friends that have really been there for me. But, one of the biggest questions that usually eventually comes up, hey, you said that you have a dad, right? I was like, yeah. And you have a mom. Okay. And they had a lot of fun, and then eventually they had me. But you said you had another dad, right? Yeah, I have two dads. So your parents are divorced? Let's not talk about that. No, both Zan and Crow live together happily, very much so.
My husband.
My husband too.
Whoa, happily?
Are we happily?
Zan, you're
Can you please?
He's smiling right now. Zan is smiling right now, so I can guarantee you that he's happy.
I see how it is.
Zane's happy 10% of the time.
Whoa.
So wait up. Okay, now we have just proved that the kids are snitches.
Yep.
The kids are snitches.
Snitches.
We just want to tell everyone the truth.
Anyway.
We are keeping it poly real.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying.
So it's both of my dads live happily together. Their relationship is more cordial, less physical.
Right.
We could fix that.
No, we can't.
But Jay, Zan, and Crow are not only in a more
committed
relationship, a lot more cordial, but they're also a physical relationship. And I also have to explain how things work.
You see, it's kind of funny because I think that's what it all comes down to when somebody's asking, because their curiosity comes up, and it's just, that's really what they're asking. It's
they try to beat around the bush with it, but then when you, especially like for me, I just purposefully avoid answering that question to get on their nerves. And then they have to come right out and say the thing that they're too embarrassed to say.
I always have to disclose that the dads are not together because I always get that question, and it's like, no.
Sometimes I just like skip that entirely.
I got asked very bluntly at work the other day if I was a pitcher or a receiver.
Whoa.
Also, I feel like the people who ask that at your work should be fired.
I vote receiver.
This was actually a fairly nicer one, so she was okay in asking me that. It was more funny than anything else, but it was just one of those things where people make assumptions, and they actually, when they ask questions about it, a lot of times they want to give details, or they want details, and I personally wonder, for you younglings, we generally don't share all that specific details about the bedroom, but yet you probably still get asked.
I would suggest avoid. You know, you don't have to answer. You have no reason to answer that question for them. It's none of their business.
I answer in a very vague way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, unless they're like your close friends, like you said.
Also, when somebody asks Dad if he's a pitcher or receiver, I vote receiver.
Oh!
Whoa!
Well then. All right, let's go ahead and start let's get on the list.
Okay, so the first question I kind of wanted to ask, what are some of the perks about being a poly kid through the holidays?
Bonuses raining down from the heavens.
Give it to
Wait, bonuses?
Amethyst.
She's ready to talk.
Amethyst first. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Amethyst.
Okay.
Well, some of the perks are you get a more big and loving family. You get more grandparents. Which is always nice.
Which also usually equals more
praises.
Uh-huh.
But also, it also means that if you're angry at one person, you don't have to stay around that person. There's more people than like two. Oh my goodness. The holidays also feel like they last longer. But in a good way. Like, they don't drag. It's quick, but also like, oh, remember this, this, and this? Because you typically get more experiences. I don't know. I mean, I experienced more. When we had our poly family started, I had more life experiences. Like, we went and did more things. Personally, for me, that was a great positive.
Awesome. Thank
cool.
you.
Anybody else?
No problem.
Or anybody who wants to answer.
Yeah,
you don't have to go in order if you guys don't have anything.
Anyway, the question.
Focus.
The question. The question concerning is, what is the benefits of living in a poly family?
No, we said perk.
Perk.
What are some of the perks about being a poly kid through the holidays?
Yes, bonus.
Well, I suppose I would have to be very much aligned with Amethyst in that regard. I haven't really thought of something that is personally Gelt or, personally in Gelt's character. I kind of find that Amethyst's answer kind of aligns with my personal beliefs. So I would have to say I full-heartedly agree with.
The siblings all
Dramatic
came up
pause.
with a thing where they described sibling life as gentle violence.
Yep.
And we thought that was very accurate.
Amethyst just today decided, as we were picking out our Yule tree, decided to take the tags and continuously hit me in the face with it. Just whack me lightly on the face
hold on a second
all the
here.
time.
Love taps.
Now, if I growing up with my brother, I don't remember anything being gentle about the violence.
Yeah, well, that was a different experience.
It made a funny noise. I had to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that is a total. That's a valid reason.
The Tree Conflict of Home Depot, 2019.
I do have something to say though concerning the question.
So
So generally speaking, one of the perks of being in the poly family during the holidays is you get way more family to visit. And
Huzzah!
if you don't want to visit one of your family members, you don't really have to. Even though we probably want to. But we really don't have to if we don't want to. We can go to the family that we know is going to love and support us and let us be us, like truly us around them.
And you see, this was something we brought up in our last episode about not, having to spend time around family that's not supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because really, it's stressful for the whole entire family whenever you do. Not to mention that, but if you do get to visit your family that does really support and will let you be who you are, like if your family's poly and stuff, it's really, really nice because you have some of the best, like, celebrations ever because everyone's laughing, everyone's joking, everyone's getting along, and it's just this whole, like, kind of support group, and you're all just having a great time. Nobody really cares. And it's really awesome.
And if any of our listeners are hearing purring on the in their speakers, that is our one of our fur babies.
Yeah.
That's our fur baby, Ziggy.
His name is Ziggy Pop Stardust.
He is fabulous and fluffy.
Yeah.
And also likes to brood.
We have
He's
Ziggy.
also a butt.
We have
He's also
Ziggy
a
Pop
gelt.
Stardust, Chip Pretzel Bag, and Jack.
Jackass.
Just Jack.
Ass. He is kind of an ass.
I thought it was Jack Hole.
Jack Hole.
It's Jackass.
It's more of a jackass.
Jack,
What is it?
fill in the blank of anything annoying.
Pretty much.
He
Jack,
ate,
All right.
he
So,
ate my Stegosaurus cookie.
Jack,
Oh.
that little shit. What the hell is he doing now? Yeah.
He's eating
precisely.
the tree. He is eating the
he
Yule
probably
tree.
is at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
He is
So let's hand the headphones over to Mercury. Mercury, tell us what you think some of the perks about being a poly kid through the holidays are.
A lot of examples that you guys heard before. The fact that you don't have to visit other family members and like you can choose what family members you want to hang out with. Well, I want to do like another approach to it, and that is the fact that whenever we go somewhere, we have to either take one or two cars to go anywhere, which sounds like a bad thing at first, but in reality it's actually not so bad. You're at least hanging around one sibling, or you're hanging out with one or two parents in one car to go to point A to point B to point C, possibly. It's actually pretty good because you can actually, it could be fun if there's music, if you're dancing, like all that stuff. There's actually more to this, is that usually among me relationships, if the dad or mom chooses one thing, then the other person will be like, oh, I have to follow what he or she says. But in the polyamory relationship, it seems that everybody's equal. It seems like everybody has equal say on everything.
Okay, one thing I do have to say, is that earlier we had to take two cars to go to get our family photos done, and Gelt described my driving. He said he really liked my driving.
He said
mainly
he felt like he was on a roller coaster.
Oh,
That
is that why?
I do have to.
He didn't embellish that part of
I
the
would
story.
like.
he said he liked my driving. That's all that matters.
I would like to disclose that also driving with all of the parents is different experiences for everyone, because if it normally it's Dad Crow and Mom Jay that drive together, normally speaking, and driving with them is way different than driving with Dad Zan.
Okay, so
because-
mine is more fun.
Well, see, Dad Zan either is blasting metal music, driving really fast down the backcountry roads.
I don't know what you're
Or
talking
he's
about.
listening to a true crime podcast while he's doing that.
Which I gotta
And
give.
with Mom Jay and Dad Crow, it's they're singing. There's like silliness.
The Griswolds.
Mom
They're totally
Jay
the
is
Griswolds.
petting mountains, and
She does. She actually pets the mountains through the window and through the windshield.
It's like so you're saying it's like driving with the Griswolds?
loud singing.
I also dance with the leaves as they're falling down.
Yes.
In the car.
Yeah.
I am a leaf.
So